The Indianapolis Colts are still the best team in the NFL, and now they're looking to sweep the Tennessee Titans for the third straight year. So, what must the Colts do to take out the Titans and avoid this trap game? And what do you, the fans, think happens in this AFC clash on Sunday from Lucas Oil Stadium? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome to the Horseshoe Huddle Podcast, as always presented by Indianapolis Colts on SI.com. I'm Drake Wally, co-host of the show, co-deputy editor for the site, joined by Noah Gebert, analyst for the site, and also co-host of this show. Noah, two things. Number one, welcome back, man. And number two, the Colts are, I think, like 14-point favorites in this one, which scares me a little bit. Because that's a lot of points, and Vegas basically says it's going to be an ass whooping, but we'll have to see how you're doing. And what do you think about this team heading into week 8?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I feel like if I'm not on this podcast or I miss a show, then I get a little bit too pent up with Colts thoughts that I don't get out anywhere else. I'm not super active on social media, so I'm not spewing my thoughts there. They're all kept inside here waiting for the show to come out on Mondays and Thursdays. So yeah, my head's kind of spinning a little bit. I know I didn't get to recap any of the Colts-Chargers game, what a game that was. So happy we get to do a quick little recap so I can just spit out some vomit thoughts that I had about that game. Then we can move on. But no, just it's super exciting time to be a Colts fan right now. Everything's coming up Colts. You go in, and now you're coming in and facing an opponent that, like you mentioned, you've swept previously. You're handled very easily in week 3. By all accounts, they're not really improving since week 3, and the Colts are still on a roll. So, yeah, good things should keep happening. But yeah, you can't let this become a trap game. And I know that's been a conversation we've had about multiple games so far this season. The Colts haven't fallen prey to a trap game yet this season, but if any trap game's a trap game, this would be the trappiest game, I would say, if you're looking at the Colts schedule right now. So let's hope they stay focused, and we'll see what we get on Sunday.
Yeah, and just to kind of throw this out there, like just the state of this Titans team. We'll kind of get into more details as the show goes along after the recap, but total disarray. They're almost, I don't want to say that when you're going into week 8, you're packing it up. But they're 1-6, man. The one game they have won, it was a complete and utter disaster from the Arizona Cardinals. Basically handed it over to the Titans, like, please win this game. Like, so this is a team that is not necessarily looking to compete for the playoffs or even the division. Let's just say that. But I mean, guys, we already have two super chats here. Okay, Yim says, let's go get Logan Wilson. We'll see what happens. We all know how the Colts and Lou Anarumo have felt about getting former Lou Anarumo disciples. They have like 3 or 4, it seems, and they just let one of them go over to the Titans, who, by the way, has been activated now to the 53-man roster. So Joe Bocci, I feel sorry for him. He has to pretty much cover Tyler Warren. Good luck with that. Andrew Harmon here, first super chat. No Simmons, don't think this is a trap game. It is absolutely a trap game. It doesn't matter who's not playing. L'Jarius Sneed is also out with injury. But
that might be good for the Titans.
Yeah. If you ask Titans Twitter, they're weirdly upbeat about that. But yeah, Andrew, it's still a trap game until they take care of business, until they establish a lead, because the Titans are a team that's not going to do well when they're behind. It is still a trap game, but it will help not having 2 of the better players. I know that Snead hasn't done great, but he is still a steady veteran, if you will. Tracy Johnson here. What's up, Horseshoe Huddle fam? Missed the one-man gun show live. Well, Noah had family stuff going on, so I took over and I did my best. I was really worried that I was going to have a conversation with myself and show everyone my complete insanity, but I didn't have to do that. Thank you so much, Tracy. Appreciate it. All right, we got Andrew with another one here. You mean the buzzed man gun show? Hey, now, because I was by myself, I didn't get to enjoy as much apple juice. All right, so I wasn't quite there, but that's a hilarious super chat. Thank you so much. And then, of course, Tracy threw this one out there. Heard the prediction of 12-5. If so, that would be one hell of a season. In fact, Noah, 12. If they go 12-5, that's like because Andrew Luck gave them the best records recently. And even when they made the playoffs in 2018, I think they were like 10-6, but those first 3 seasons, like when they went to the wild card and lost, and then they went to the divisional round and lost, and then they went to the AFC Championship, they were 11-5 all 3 of those seasons. So that would be like the best finish they've had since Peyton Manning was quarterback.
Yeah, and that's crazy. If you said that at the start of the season, 12-5, putting the over under at 11.5 wins or whatever, people would call you crazy for sure. But looking at it now, that's almost like the minimum of what you should expect. Right now is a 12-5 season when you're sitting here at 6-1. Hopefully this game against the Titans goes your way. But with the 10 games remaining on the schedule, to hit 12-5, you just have to go 6-4 the rest of the season. This is very much a team that is capable of doing that. 6-4, 7-3. I mean, if you're getting up to 12, 13 wins, we're not really having the conversation about AFC South winners anymore. We're having the conversation about first round bye in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you're aiming now. I mean, I feel like your sights are set on completely different goals than, at least fan-wise, your sights are set on different goals than they were early on in the season. Maybe this is kind of what the Colts expected going in with this plan, but I feel like even for people internally in the Colts organization, this season has started better than they could have imagined.
Yeah, and look, this is the kind of vibe that this team has created now, and me and Noah can attest this, and I definitely can. I started this show. Me and Andrew started this show literally the day after Frank Reich was canned. Mm-hmm. All right, so I've seen 4-12-1, and then 9-8, and then 8-9. So I'm still like trying to grasp that this is legitimately happening with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. So, but before we even get in there, man, we are getting super chats falling like raindrops here. Tracy Johnson with another one, and we lose ugly in the wild card. Do we re-sign Daniel Jones? I think at this point, I just don't see it any other way. I think that it was very foolhardy that the Vikings decided not to. Well, I mean, they had J.J. McCarthy, right? But let's say that they don't have J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings would have done everything possible to keep Sam Darnold, I think, and they lost in the playoffs immediately. I don't know what you think, Noah, but I mean, dare I say, if they fall apart and lose the rest of the season, right? I think Daniel Jones, I think he's going to remain a Colt. I think the Colts have been dying to get a quarterback. Looks like they might have found one.
Yeah, I think losing ugly in the wild card still, I think what do you do then? Like, you're sitting 26th in the draft or 24th in the draft order. Like,
you're not getting a quarterback.
Go up and get a quarterback. Like,
No.
You're not really in a good position to move on anyway, unless it's absolutely 100%. You go into wild card round. Daniel Jones throws 4 really bad interceptions, fumbles on a strip sack he didn't see coming. I mean, there's. I feel like you have to go completely in the opposite direction and pretty far away to undo the progress that he's made in terms of resurrecting his career with the Colts this season. And really, you don't have a plan. I mean, you can talk about Anthony Richardson. I think it's pretty clear that that's not the plan. We'll definitely get into some trade deadline stuff. I don't think an Anthony Richardson trade during the season is going to happen, but I think you should probably expect, regardless of what happens the rest of the season, to be moving on from Anthony Richardson at some point in the offseason and getting back some kind of a mid-round pick. So, yeah, I don't think you have the plan outside of Daniel Jones. And really, you've seen 7 games now where Daniel Jones is a very good quarterback, playing like a top 10 NFL quarterback in this offense. Even if things start to dip a little bit at the end of the season and the playoffs don't play off how you want, I don't see. I mean, this is a big enough sample size that you can say this wasn't a fluke. This is something that you can replicate in this offense. So, yeah, I would be all on board with re-signing DJ and moving on from then.
Yeah, I mean, Tracy, look, at this point, it just looks, it feels. I mean, Daniel Jones, just to kind of put a bow on this before we get started on the actual coverage of the show, Evan Washburn from CBS, just absolutely fantastic sideline reporter. He has great questions. He went, I would say he fell on the sword with this question. He said to Daniel Jones, he's like, not that you care, but some of us on the outside, and he actually meant himself, are a bit surprised that this is happening. What do you think about that, and how would you address that, basically? And of course, Daniel Jones I've never seen him do this. And when you watch his press conferences when he was with the Giants, boring as hell, wide-eyed, he's just like staring like this, looked like he didn't want to answer questions. This guy says, well, it sounds like y'all didn't know much. Yeah. That is swagger, confidence, the real Daniel Jones coming out. I think he has found his happy place in Indianapolis. So go ahead.
You like that? And I think you're seeing that too. You got the mic'd up release of Daniel Jones, just seeing him interact with the guys on the sideline and being less of that robot that all the fans see in the press conferences, the interviews post game. Like, yeah, he's never really been one to show that. It's cool to see that bleed out a little bit in that post game interview that he did with Evan Washburn. But yeah, you definitely saw it in the mic'd up video that the NFL put out of Daniel Jones being on there and really showing his true colors to the teammates and really showing like why these guys rallied around him from week one. I mean, it didn't necessarily seem like that in training camp that he was the far and away leader, because I think people were really expecting Anthony Richardson to be the guy. But as soon as Daniel Jones' name was dropped as the starter for this team, I mean, the Colts team just kind of gelled around that, took it in stride. I feel like they knew what they were getting with him, and they definitely rallied around him.
Yeah, but before we jump in here, man, Marcus from the Blue Stable reposted us on X. This dude's a freaking legend. Marcus, you are the damn man. Thank you so much for your support. As always, hell of a guy right there. So we'll just go ahead and knock this out real quick. So the Colts-Chargers recap. This was a game, Noah, that we said this is where this is the measuring stick. This is where you're gonna go out there and you're gonna show the world on the road at a stadium that you had an embarrassing loss at, what you're made of. And yes, there were injuries on the offensive line of this team. Yes, there were some guys that were missing on defense. But, dude, they got Khalil Mack back just in time for this contest. Yeah. I know that he's not the Raiders or the Bears Khalil Mack, but keep in mind, not even that long ago with the Chargers, the dude dominated. So he's still a formidable defensive player. You had guys like Denzel Perryman out there. You had guys like Derwin James out there. And the Colts absolutely beat the crap out of that defense. It seemed like every time that the Chargers would go down the field, put this long drive together and score, Indianapolis scores in 5 plays. Jim Harbaugh, after that game, looked like he was shocked that his team just dropped. And that 14-point victory, Noah, it was more than a 14-point victory. One more thing I'll mention, Justin Herbert put up the most yards passing in a game of his NFL career, which you would think, wow, a shootout. No, that's because he was playing from behind the whole game, running for his life. And he still, did what I thought was a pretty good job considering he had to throw 55 passes. But what were your thoughts on this game? This was truly a statement victory that I think changed the minds of some people on this Colts team.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of funny and just normally in Colts fashion to bring up that, of course, if someone goes out and has a career day against this Colts defense, Oronde Gadsden, rookie tight end, goes out and has a career day, almost 200 yards from a rookie tight end. Justin Herbert, of all the great games that Justin Herbert's played in his career, throws for the most yards he's ever thrown in his career. So, I mean, you give some, you get some with the Colts. So, but yeah, I think that is skewed a little bit, and I'm glad that we're bringing that up because I did want to get the chance to talk about that and how you see this stat line for this defense, and it's almost kind of misleading, kind of how they played when they give up 24 points to an offense that's that talented. When you're that thin at the cornerback position, you're going up against a receiver group like Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, these guys. So yeah, I'm glad they held them to 24. That's a respectable number of points that you held them to, despite the massive yardage total. You just had those 3 drives there right after halftime that resulted in touchdown for the Chargers. But the thing is, even when you get that, you have the Colts offense going out there and matching every one of those. So it seems like every step that the Chargers offense took, the Colts offense just took that right back and said, keep working for it because you're not going to catch us like that. So, yeah, and then you have a couple of those big splash plays on defense. The Grover Stewart interception, super fun to watch, super fun to see him get rewarded, and fun to see like half the team like empty the bus and come off the sideline to celebrate with him in the end zone on that. I was just trying to think in the NFL rule book if there's some sort of rule with how many players can be celebrating with you on the field, like during the game. After a game, I get it, but in the middle of a game, I don't know if you can have your whole team empty the bench for a celebration. But I'm glad the refs just let that happen. And then Nick Cross with the interception also in the end zone, one-handed. Like that was came at a perfect time. So yeah, you're giving up a lot. It's kind of a bend but don't break defense, but not in the same way that we've seen with Gus Bradley, where they're getting some of these splash plays and they are challenging on some downs and they're playing in a different way. It's not always the soft zone. They're just kind of at a talent disadvantage on the back end sometimes, where you're gonna get beat man up regardless of what you've got, and you're not getting the pass rush quickly enough to prevent that from happening. So all in all, I mean, it was just, you have those opportunistic plays from the defense. You had the kind of that spotty play there in the second half with the defense, but it was the story of the Colts offense and how easily they moved the ball against that Chargers defense, which is, no one's going to call them a bad defense, right? They're an NFL average defense with some really good splash players on it. Like, that's a legitimate team that you're playing against there. And Derwin James, I talked about in the kind of that preview show going forward. Like, is he going to completely wipe out Tyler Warren, and then you're not going to have Josh Downs in the lineup? Turns out, no, he's not going to completely wipe out Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren was able to produce anyway, and you didn't have Josh Downs on the field. His replacement, Anthony Gould, goes out and gets one catch in that first series that Shane Steichen had to challenge for, and then wasn't really used because they didn't need to use him. That was just a well-balanced offense that was okay utilizing Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren, Alec Pierce as their passing targets, and then just leaning on that run game of Jonathan Taylor to take him the rest of the way. So yeah, even when you're missing Josh Downs is such an important piece of this offense and a guy that can keep you on schedule. And that's so important to this offense's success. And what's been in the first 7 games is they stay on schedule in those early downs. It makes it easy on second down. It makes it easy on third down. Gives Shane Steichen so many options on what kind of play calls he's going to be calling on second and third down, because he's not pigeonholed into these specific situations. Even when you take off that guy, they were still on schedule, just keeping on track with that running game with Tyler Warren and using Michael Pittman in some shorter passing situations. So, it's hard to find a way to imagine that this offense can be stopped by really any defense right now. I don't know what the counter is to an offense that's playing so well in both the passing game and the running game, and in the passing game have so many threats to be able to do it. It's not like you can take out one guy and then just have them not operate in the passing game. So, I mean, anything other than a Jonathan Taylor injury, I think would derail this offense a little bit. But barring that, I mean, I just feel like there's no way to stop them right now.
Yeah, and even after that game, the Chargers are still the 10th best passing defense in the NFL. Going into that game, they were 7th in the NFL in sacks, 7th in pass defense. I mean, this was a team that has talent. Okay, now I will say this, 2 things. Number one, that offensive line for the Chargers was absolutely decimated. I mean, the Colts need to play better up front. They had 37 pressures on Justin Herbert, 3 sacks, 2 came from DeForest Buckner. But real quick, before we kind of get into the Titans game here, Louis Anarumo deserves praise. All right, you lost Tyquan Lewis, you lost Samson Ebukam in that game. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with Kenny Moore, probably about like 70% out there. You got Jonathan Edwards. You got Chris Lamont's probably rotating in with Kenny Moore. You've got Mekhi Blackman out there playing CB1. You still don't have Charvarius Ward. And they're facing off against Oronde Gadsden, who I think is going to be a good tight end in this league. And then you've got Keenan Allen, and you've got Ladd McConkey, you've got Quentin Johnston. And I know that the Chargers don't necessarily have a running game, but this Colts secondary still played well enough to keep them within a bracket so that they didn't just outright make this a shootout. Louis Anarumo really has turned this defense around. I mean, Gus Bradley, God forbid if he would have had this exact defense on Sunday when they played the Chargers, you would have seen a very close game, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, there was no adjustments, nothing like that. But we're going to go ahead and get into the Titans game here. But before we do, and I'll get Andrew. I saw your super chat here. So we got Dalton Brown's fanboy. Dalton, I don't know if your name is Dalton Brown and you are your own fanboy, or if you're a Browns fanboy. Either way, somebody that says don't get your hopes up, the Colts are going to choke, and Daniel Jones always chokes in big games. That's somebody who's nervous that he's not going to choke. And he hasn't choked yet. Maybe he will, but we're talking in the here and now. Live in the moment, Dalton. They tell us all, be present, live in the moment. So you go ahead and save those comments, maybe have some stamps for later, but I really appreciate it. At least you're watching us, so you have some kind of interest in Daniel Jones. Clearly, you have yourself a good evening, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. And then we're going to go ahead and get to Andrew Harmon here. Thank you for the super chat, my man. Can we address that some broadcasters are putting the Chiefs ahead of us? I don't entirely want to. I mean, the Chiefs are starting to gather momentum. They did get Rashee Rice back. It is still Patrick Mahomes. It is still Steve Spagnuolo calling that defense. Noah, I'm not going to lie, man. That is a game that I have circled on my calendar.
Yeah.
When the Colts play the Chiefs, boy, oh boy, they better elevate that to prime time, because that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not blaming any broadcasters for putting the Chiefs ahead of the Colts, just because you have to bank some sort of what your rankings are based on history, and history says Colts haven't been good. Daniel Jones hasn't been good. History says Chiefs have been good. Patrick Mahomes has been good. That's always going to carry some weight, even though the Colts are, I think, pretty undisputedly the number one offense in the NFL right now by almost every metric that you can have. So. Yeah, but then you're kind of comparing defenses then, if you want to do that. And I think the Chiefs are playing a little bit better on defense than the Colts are. The Colts have had some spotty performances for sure. So I'm not going to argue with the power rankings too much. You're going to see definitely in that matchup. I'm excited to see a matchup like that. Just like I was excited to see this Chargers game. I'm excited to see how the Colts are going to stack up against some of these other teams. They're playing later on in the year, especially that Chiefs game, the 49ers game on Monday night prime time that they're already getting. Just fun to see. I want to see them play the best, which is kind of, I feel fortunate to be in that position as a Colts fan to say that, because I feel like in previous years, I'm like, man, I hope we get some easy teams at the back end of the season so you can squeak into the playoffs. But no, I want to see this team battle tested by the time they get into the playoffs, because they're in very good position to get one into a playoff spot, and then two to really find out what their strengths and weaknesses are when they're going up against some of the NFL's top teams.
Yeah, and after this week with the Titans, they're going to get into that gauntlet, and it's good for them. It is good for them because they're hitting it at the right time. They can prove a lot of people wrong, or maybe they'll prove them right. They're going to get like you said, they're going to get battle tested by teams like Pittsburgh and Kansas City and Seattle. And the Houston Texans. I know that offense is very, very questionable. And CJ Stroud's out there saying that, my knees ain't what they used to be when he's like 24, 25. But that is a top 5 defense that features guys like Derek Stingley and Jalen Petrie. And, they've got a good linebacking core. They have Daniil Hunter. They have Will Anderson. That defense is absolutely going to test Daniel Jones. It's good. It's good for the Colts to kind of be hitting that stride right at the right time. But I did want to say this is that, Lou Anarumo was very much known in Cincinnati for befuddling guys like Josh Allen and guys like Patrick Mahomes. And so his scheme is very much a kryptonite style situation for a guy like Mahomes, because the year that the Cincinnati Bengals got to that Super Bowl, they had to go through a gauntlet to get to it. And Lou Anarumo's defense was a big reason why. So we'll see. You're hoping once they play the Chiefs, dear Lord, you're hoping they have guys like Charvarius Ward back and Jalen Jones, and that you're hoping that they have more of a complete defense. So, but yeah, hey guys, might be crazy to hear this, but we have a game to talk about. So, what to expect from the Colts on offense? So Tennessee, they're just absolutely falling apart. And in the last game when the Colts did play Tennessee, it was really it was kind of a mixed bag. 41 points were hung on this football team. But if you're looking at the numbers, Daniel Jones threw the ball 25 times, 18 completions. All right. But Jonathan Taylor only carried it for 17 times, but he had over 100 rushing yards. Michael Pittman feasted. He had himself a touchdown and led the team in receiving yards. Honestly, I don't want to sound snobbish. It's more just a reality, Noah. This Titans team, there's not a Titans fan out there that's not going to agree with this. They're bad. They're really bad. And the one thing that they do have, if you're putting a strength on this team, is defense. And you're not going to have Jeffrey Simmons. You're not going to have L'Jarius Sneed. And even if he has been bad, He's a veteran. He's going to provide something better than a young guy who isn't as experienced. And you're dealing with, you're probably going to get Josh Downs back. I mean, you've got Alec Pierce healthy now. Dare I say they could pretty much approach this any way they want. What do you think that they're going to do when they get the ball first, whether that's first to receive or after the Titans score or punt or kick, whatever? What do you think that Shane Steichen is saying? All right, we need to start the game out with X.
Yeah, just to start the game out, I feel like they've got to establish the passing game, which I think is kind of contrary to what you think the Colts should be able to do well, is run the ball. And they should be able to run the ball, especially a team that might be absent Jeffrey Simmons for this game. You should be able to run on this Titans front, but every game, like, it's just establish the pass game with Daniel Jones so you can open up things later. That pass to score, run to win mantra that Shane Steichen has adopted ever since day one of the Colts. You didn't really see it the first 2 years, but now you're seeing it because they do have a passing offense that can go down there and score that allows you to lean on that run game in the second half. So I don't expect the game plan to be really any different than any of the other games that we've seen so far for the Colts on offense. What they're doing is working. Why change it? It doesn't really matter if you're going up an opponent you're massive favorites at home against the Titans this week. So you're not necessarily used to that at this point. It's still a young season. You haven't seen a ton of games where you were favored, even that Titans or that Chargers game last week. You weren't a favorite there. Even I know this is a home game against a lesser opponent, but you need to get used to being not the underdog anymore, which I think you were the kind of that splunky underdog that was playing well the first few weeks of the season. Now you've got a target on your backs, but I don't think that should change how you're playing and how you're affecting things on the offensive side of the ball because it's going really well with Daniel Jones, especially early on in the game. So yeah, just use that to your advantage. Attack whoever's coming in to play those snaps for L'Jarius Sneed. Maybe it's Daryl Baker, Sam Womack, two former Colts on the roster that might take over that spot. You mentioned Joe Bocci being in there. Also, if he's getting any snaps, I mean, obviously he's got some intel on what the Colts offense and Colts defense is going to be able to run. So I get the value of bringing him in. But if he's on the field, the Colts also very much know Joe Bocci's weaknesses and would know how to attack that and have the personnel and Tyler Warren, Josh Downs over the middle to definitely take advantage of that. So I'm just like, I guess, the first time that we talked about this Titans game, and that was only week 3, we were struggling to find ways that the Titans should outmatch the Colts. Now we're getting here into week 7, week 8, and there's still no way, and even further, I think it's proven itself that there's no really area on this Titans offense, Titans defense that you should find a mismatch that you aren't able to take advantage of if you're the Colts. So yeah, if I'm the Colts, if I'm Shane Steichen running this offense, it's just do what you've been doing, find those matchups, take advantage of some young guys, target those young guys, and just rely on what's been working for you so far.
Yeah. And, we are not on this show. We really, we both are part of Sports Illustrated. So we're not, I might be in Colts gear and, I might have a Colts, a neon light behind me and stuff, but we really do try to stay as objective as possible. And you don't want to discount any NFL team because there are guys on the Tennessee Titans that have a lot of skill. There are guys on that team that are still wanting to win. And now you have a guy who has been a head coach in the NFL before, in Mike McCoy, who has taken over that squad. And they're gonna fight tooth and nail to make the Colts look ridiculous. Okay, so can't take them lightly. But if there's one thing I expect from this Colts team, it is to come out firing. They are going to come out and try their best to establish at least a 2-score lead as quickly as possible, because then you're making a team that has that literally, and we'll get into it later, I believe they are literally the worst scoring offense in the entire league. And now you don't have Tyler Lockett. Okay, so like there's the Colts need to look at the offense of Tennessee with their own offense, and they need to go out there and they need to fire on all cylinders as early as possible. So the Titans actually, believe it or not, and I'm looking at it right here. All right, so they're like a middle of the pack pass defense, but against the run, they're really, really bad. I mean, they're like, let me see, 30, 32, 31, 30. They're 29th in the NFL against the run. So I fully expect Shane Steichen to say, let's use all of the pass catching weapons we can. You're getting Josh Downs back more than likely. go out there, make this non-L'Jarius Sneed secondary try to stop you. And they're more than likely, have they ruled out Jeffrey Simmons? Do you know that?
I was just checking the injury report to see that. I don't think they've ruled out. It's really early in the week for them to do that.
Okay, so I mean, that is like if Jeffrey Simmons plays, guys, I mean, Colts fans might forget just how freaking good that man is. I mean, he's good enough to ruin your game plan if you let him. So if Jeffrey Simmons plays, they have to account for him. He's a pressure machine and he's incredibly skilled and powerful. But if he doesn't, man, I'm telling Daniel Jones, go out there early and just sling the pill. And they have got too many weapons for that team to cover. So, in fact, it was just to throw this out there real quick, it was Manti Te'o who said it on Good Morning Football that he believes the Indianapolis Colts they are the most deadly offense because no team can cover every part of the field and they can hit you on every part of the field. They've got Pierce in the deep game. Warren dominates pretty much every aspect of it, mostly yards after catch. Downs is the short guy, the short yardage guy.
And the short
guy. Pittman's your all-around threat. I mean, they can literally attack all parts of the field. So I personally expect the Colts to come out firing on all cylinders and try to put the Titans as far behind as early as possible.
Yeah, and this is a game, like you mentioned, you get all your receiving threats back. You get Josh Downs back, which I would normally say is huge, but when you put up 38 against the Chargers defense without Josh Downs, I don't necessarily know how big the return of Josh Downs is going to affect you in this game. It seems like you can really drop one or the other, and in this offense, drop one of those receiving threats. You've got enough to step up and fill that void. And Daniel Jones is just distributing the ball so well that it doesn't really matter how many threats you've got out there. He's going to find the one that's open, and you're usually going to find one that's open. Especially a defense that is shaken up, and I think they do have some good safety play. We mentioned that. We highlighted that for sure when we were going over that Week 3 matchup.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned Xavier Woods, Amani Hooker playing really well, still playing pretty well. But yeah, I mentioned that was an area you might watch because at that point in the season, Daniel Jones had not thrown an interception yet. I said, keep an eye out. At some point, Daniel Jones is going to throw an interception at some point this season. It didn't end up happening this game or that last game, but maybe this game is a game we see Xavier Woods, Monty Hooker take advantage of some overzealous pass attempts that Daniel Jones has got. He's playing with a lot of confidence. He might make some throws that he wasn't willing to make in Week 3 because he's a little bit more confident in his placement. We know that risky ball he threw to Alec Pierce, just right in between 3 defenders. I mean, he's made some plays. That play to Michael Pittman in the end zone where he's scrambling. These are plays that are great to watch, but sometimes that doesn't bounce your way, right? Sometimes that does go to the defense. And I do think they have some players to take advantage of that. So, I mean, it's all about continuing to play smart football if you're Daniel Jones, and I don't see really any issue with that outside of a couple of plays this season. He's really been spot on.
Yeah. I mean, look, as long as the Colts don't turn the ball over on a relentless pace, that's okay if there's a pick, right? He still hasn't fumbled, and he has been known for fumbling the football. So far, the Indianapolis Colts, they're just playing absolutely torrid football, especially offensively. So now we're going to go over here to the other side of the ball. What should we expect from the Colts defense? So Samson Ebukam not going to play more than likely. This is kind of a similar situation to the Chargers offensive line. This is an offensive line that just they're not very good. And in fact, Cam Ward, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to find it here. So Cam Ward has been sacked relentlessly. And I mean relentlessly. And so this is an offense that doesn't do the best job of protecting their quarterback. They also aren't necessarily very good at running the football. So I think that this is really a golden opportunity for this Colts pass rush to just tee off. But of course, we also said that about the game against Justin Herbert. Now they did get a slew of pressure on Justin Herbert, but they didn't secure sacks. Yeah. This is a team where I think that if the Colts, going back to the offense, if they go out there and they let's say that, I don't want to it's really not to bury Tennessee. It just isn't. If the Colts even get a 2-score lead on Tennessee, like 9 or more points, you're already asking so much of Cam Ward. You're asking this guy to go out there and do a lot. And here we go. He is the 4th most pressured quarterback in the NFL with 102 pressures, and he is literally the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. So I fully expect this team to blitz. I fully expect them to throw out exotic coverages. I hate to say it, but I think Cam Ward is going to have a great future in this league. I really do. But he is on a team that just lost their head coach. He's on a team that doesn't have any identity on either side of the football. He's thrown more picks than touchdowns. He's fumbled the ball more times than he's ran in any scores, which is 0. I just think, honestly, Noah, there's so many ways, kind of like with the offense, that this defense can attack this Tennessee offense. Yeah. I just expect them to do everything possible to make Cam Ward chase the lead and just make him as absolutely uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah, and it's gonna be probably rough sledding for the Titans on offense because of the struggles that they've had. I think the thing that they have going for them, and I think the thing that the Colts defense doesn't really have going for them, is the explosive play factor is there with the Titans.
It is.
I think you do have guys, especially when you have a guy like Cam Ward who can run around and extend the play. You've mentioned the Colts being able to get pressure. The thing is, they don't get pressure quickly, but they do get some pressure. I think that's a testament to kind of that press man that Lou Anarumo loves to play, disrupting some of the timing routes, buys a little bit more time for your pass rush, but it's just not hitting home. Like you mentioned, the sacks, they're still able to get the ball off. But yeah, they've been okay at handling some mobile quarterbacks. Bo Nix, they contain pretty well in terms of him being able to use his legs against the Broncos. Cam Ward in week 3 were able to contain him pretty well, but this is a little bit more experienced Cam Ward. Maybe it's even a little bit more desperate Cam Ward with the way that they're playing this late in the season. So you might see him scrambling around trying to make some more plays, and he can definitely do that, make it with his legs. A long rush could happen. Jermaine Pratt, Zaire Franklin maybe aren't the most elusive guys back there that are going to be able to swivel their hips and really change direction to stop him from running the ball. You've got Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, who are some big play guys that can make things happen. And then, Alec Iomanner, the rookie. And then, Chamuri DK got his first touchdown last week, another rookie. DK is a guy with some massive speed, their kick returner as well. Maybe you could see some kind of big play happen. Maybe Mekhi Blackman clicks his ankles together again and he goes deep for a touchdown.
He's fallen twice.
Yes, and I don't want to keep ragging on. Just the state that the Colts defense is in. I guess we can hit on that since we're already here. We're not just talking about the Titans offense. We're talking about their matchup with the Colts defense. And this is a secondary that, is really on its last legs when you're talking about the personnel that they're trotting out there. You mentioned Jonathan Edwards, undrafted free agent out of Tulane, who definitely got picked on in his NFL debut. And then last week he was kind of subbed out. They were kind of going this series on, series off thing with Jonathan Edwards and practice squad call up Cameron Mitchell, you don't want a practice squad call up at corner to getting, I don't know how many defensive snaps he got, but I think it was around 65% of the defensive snaps was a practice squad call up at corner.
That's insane.
Getting those. Yeah. Kenny Moore back, which is good. You like to see him in the lineup, but definitely was not at 100%. I think you can just look at this week's injury report on Wednesday, a limited participant in practice with that same injury, still trying to recover for that. So glad he was able to get out on the field for that Chargers game. Let's see if he's a little bit more healthy and a little bit more himself here in this Titans game. Then it's Mekhi Blackman holding it down there. And I think in an ideal world, we're going to be talking about trade deadline potential, what this cornerback room looks like. And in an ideal world, I think you're comfortable with him as your 4th corner. But right now, he's your number 1 corner, and you're kind of trying to come to terms with that. And I think he's doing the best he can. He's got a couple plays here and there that we're definitely going to pick on him for. But overall, I think just the people that you have out there, the personnel that you're trotting out there, you're getting what you've got coming to you with the people that you're trotting out there. So I'm not going to rag on any of those guys individually, just more so, man, what injury luck do you have that Kenny Moore, Jalen Jones, Charvarius Ward all go down after you cut Juju Brents, after you cut Sam Womack, after all these moves, after Justin Wally goes on IR. It's just been a whirlwind there at corner, but I still think if you're looking towards the end of the season, you've got a pretty good group there.
Yeah, and so Cameron Mitchell played 39 coverage snaps. Of course, Jonathan Edwards played 31. It's definitely the area of Indy's defense that if you're an offense playing Lou Anarumo, you got to figure out a way to attack those cornerbacks.
Yeah.
That's the best way for success. It's not up the middle. It's not. I know that they've struggled to finish sacks and whatnot, but I mean that's where you attack. And I go back to that Arizona Cardinals game. They Noah actually threw out. We don't have it up now, but just to kind of give a synopsis on it, Noah threw out the completions that were had against Jonathan Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them was like over 20 yards. Okay, so I mean that's literally how you defeat the Colts defense is by picking on their corners until you get guys like Mooney Ward back and Jalen Jones and whatnot. So yeah, we'll see that defense. I mean, I will say this also, Cam Ward. So Cam Ward, he's going to have an opportunity to get Calvin Ridley more involved. I know Calvin Ridley has been incredibly disappointing since returning to the NFL from his time with Atlanta, but he was playing Charvarius Ward last time, and Charvarius Ward completely erased that dude from existence in the game. I think he was targeted 7 times. He caught 1 pass. I fully expect Calvin Ridley to have more success in this game. He's definitely going to get open. He's still the best receiver that the Titans have. Maybe Chig Okonkwo has a better game, but we do got to get to Matthew Sundberg's super chat here. No question, just praise, appreciation, and love for the show. Thank you so much, my friend. Colts have all 4 parts great: the offense, defense, special teams, and the huddle. You are a badass for saying that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's really clicking on all cylinders, and even with the injury to Spencer Schrader, they haven't really missed a beat with Michael Badgley. I also think that, he's been pretty bad from 50 plus yards, but the thing is, this Colts team is so good, they're pretty much not going to put him in many situations where he's going to have to go out there and trot out and try to kick a 50-plus yard field goal. But yeah, I mean, Noah, overall, pretty much every side of the football, even this banged-up defense, it just seems like they're able to pivot and still make something of that approach to complement the offense. Everybody's playing team football.
Yeah, and I think you might see him struggle a little bit in terms of the pass rush that's been struggling, because now you're down a Samson Ebukam, maybe you're down Tyquan Lewis. We'll see what it's like going in. When you were at the end of the game last week against the Chargers and you have both those guys out and Latu's on the sideline getting oxygen because he's had to play 90% of the snaps, you definitely see how thin that is. They're throwing Adetomiwa Adebawore out there at some edge to take some snaps, which I don't think is the worst idea that you can have. I think that'd be okay. Keep Neville Gallimore, Eric Johnson active on the inside. If you have to play Adebawore as an edge, I think I'm okay with that kind of moving forward as an experiment, just until you get those guys back healthy. But yeah, a couple other guys like Jalen Jones. I know we had a comment there from Eric about Jalen Jones, what his timetable is. I don't think there's anything definitive on that. His window did open to be reactivated, but he's stacked 2 limited participation days in practice, Wednesday and Thursday. Would not expect to see him this week, but I think within the next couple of weeks, maybe you even hold off and wait till after that bye, and then after the bye week, you come back with Mooney Ward back in the lineup, Kenny Moore at full strength, Jalen Jones back there as well. So yeah, I mean, he's just a guy who's dealt with that hamstring injury. This is his 3rd retweak of that hamstring injury this season. Tweaked it in training camp, or tweaked it, I think, like even before training camp started, then tweaked it again in training camp, tweaked it in the opener. Don't rush that back, right?
Yeah,
you don't.
Yeah.
I know, like this is an important stretch of football that you're playing, but with your eyes where they should be on the postseason right now, just play it safe with some of these injuries that you've got. I mean, especially that Samson Ebukam injury, a guy who's also coming back from an injury. Tyquan Lewis, I'm okay with the Colts being super precautious with these guys. Same way with Mooney Ward, putting him on IR to get him some much needed time off after those 2 quick concussions in succession that he had. So yeah, play it safe with your guys on injury. I'm fine with that. You've found ways to make it work on defense. It's probably not always going to work like that, but hopefully you can hold out and keep band-aiding it together until you get all your guys back healthy.
Yeah, and they're going to need to get healthier because I mean, you're going to face some quarterbacks that are going to really take advantage of that lack of depth and starter prowess. So, Matthew, you're a legend, my friend. Thank you so much. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful Thursday. So we'll just go ahead and dive into it here. Colts X factors. We'll each give an offensive one. We'll each give a defensive one. For offense, man, there's just so many ways, and this is not to discount Tennessee. It's just they are in a state of turmoil. I mean, that they truly are a team that is just falling apart. I think that offensively, I'm just going to go with the entire offensive line. And the reason I say that is because if they don't have Jeffrey Simmons, it is where this game is going to be focused on. And Daniel Jones has operated behind a clean offensive line, but really Jonathan Taylor, I think, could have a massive game. He had one of the best runs of the season against the Titans last time. Tyler Warren did a great job blocking and opening up that big run. It's just Tanner Bortolini is playing out of his freaking mind. He's playing like one of the best centers in the NFL. Matt Gonsalves is doing great. Braden Smith does his thing. Bernard Ryman's playing like, a top 10 tackle, and Quentin Nelson is just doing Quentin Nelson things. I think that the Colts offensive line is going to have a big game, especially if Jeffrey Simmons doesn't play. Noah, who's your offensive X factor or group?
Yeah. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a cop out here, and that's Daniel Jones.
Sure.
I think it's for a good reason. I think that the only way that you lose to this Titans team is some explosive plays that go the Titans' way. I think that the key here is to play some consistent football. Don't put the ball in harm's way. I don't want to say it because it's okay if we say it because we're not the ones going out there on the field. It's okay if we fall into a trap game. Just don't let the Colts players do it.
Sure.
But it's almost like going out there with a lead in the second half. Is kind of how I'm envisioning this game. Your offense is going to be able to move it down the field and be efficient and put up points. You feel pretty confident that your defense is going to be able to hold what is a very struggling Titans offense to some limited production. So, yeah, just go out there and be consistent. Don't put the ball in harm's way. No pick sixes, no turnovers in the red zone, no fumbles, no strip sacks, things like that. Just be aware. Make the conservative audible at the line of scrimmage if you're Daniel Jones, if you have to. It's kind of what I want to see. It's kind of the antithesis to what Shane Steichen is. We know Shane Steichen's a really aggressive coach, but
yeah,
I think you just don't win it for the Titans, right? Just play your game and play pretty effectively, pretty safely, and that's kind of what I'm looking for out of Daniel Jones this week.
Yeah, and so defensively for me, it really is going to be all about, and I'm going to go with another position group. But it's actually, you know what? I dare say this because I think that I don't know if he's going to trail Calvin Ridley, but I'm going Mekhi Blackmon. Yeah. And I think it's because he is going to see quite a bit of Calvin Ridley. And I know that Ridley has really struggled since returning. He had a decent season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but ever since coming to the Titans, I mean, you got to think he's had guys like Mason Rudolph. He's had guys like Will Levis. He's had guys like Cam Ward who are just trying to get their feet wet while also drinking from a fire hose and getting doused with flames. It's been a disaster with the Titans. But Calvin Ridley, ladies and gentlemen, is still a good wide receiver. And so I think that as often as Mekhi Blackmon is going to see him, and I'll change it up one more time. It's going to be the outside corners. Whoever plays outside corner, whoever sees Ridley the most, they're going to need to play good football because that is going to be how you get beat. Is I think if you let Calvin Ridley, especially Calvin Ridley, you let him have a game, you let him have like 6, 7, 8 catches, maybe like just sub 100 yards, maybe a tud. Man, that's going to give this team confidence. And right now, this Titans team is just starving for a win. Yeah. And they would love nothing more. I promise you, they'd love nothing more than to go into Lucas Oil Stadium and give the Colts a massive, upset. So, but that's how they're going to do it on offense is by involving Calvin Ridley. What are you thinking, Noah, on defense?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the opposite of you. You said the outside corners. I'm going to bump inside and see
Okay.
how Lou Anarumo uses hopefully what is a fully healthy Kenny Moore. Maybe not fully healthy, but at least closer to fully healthy Kenny Moore. I think
Still better than most of the cornerbacks.
for sure. Yeah, I'd take a 60% Kenny Moore over Cameron Mitchell at 100%. No offense to Cameron Mitchell, but I think you're going up against a young quarterback who's probably frustrated. You're going up an offense that doesn't really have a ton of identity. Use Kenny Moore in some creative ways and throw some different looks at this Titans offense to confuse them. You saw that a lot with Bo Nix, where you flood that first read in terms of the passing game and just try to make him make a play after that and bank that he can't. I think you do that a little bit here with the Colts and take away that first read of Cam Ward. Make it not be easy for him. Make him, obviously you don't want to play to his strength and make him use his legs, but if you take away the easy stuff and make him be a playmaker, I don't think they have enough firepower on offense to really survive that if he has to be the only one out there making plays. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with the Colts offense by himself. So use Kenny Moore a little bit creatively. I want to see him on some blitzes. I want to see him on man against some of their top wideouts. Even if you've got Calvin Ridley, I think who can move into the slot. Be comfortable with having Kenny Moore, who's definitely a smaller guy, on a guy like Calvin Ridley, and trust in his coverage skills. Use him in zones, just kind of where he's lining up, and just make him a chess piece that you can use on the defensive side of the ball to make things a little bit trickier for Cam Ward.
Yeah, hey, and there's multiple ways that this team on both sides of the ball can attack the Titans. It's just really unfortunate because here's the thing. I will say this. I have so much respect for Cam Ward. I have a lot of respect for guys like Tony Pollard, guys, that aren't playing, like Jeffrey Simmons, massive respect. And I even have a lot of respect for Mike McCoy. But this is just a team that is literally falling apart, and they're probably going to finish as the worst team in football. So we'll see. But final score predictions, I'll just go ahead and throw mine out there. So we did a round table, and I'll just throw my blurb out there. I said the Colts showed their offense is truly a juggernaut after hanging 38 points on the Chargers. It spells a tough scenario for the Titans. Their defense has played formidable against the pass, struggles badly against the run. It spells a huge game for JT. They also have the worst scoring offense. They only have 96 points through 7 games. That is atrocious. That's really, really bad. That's like sub 14 points a game. It's going to take just being down by 10 plus points for them to really start to struggle. And he's turned the ball over, Cam Ward, more than he's achieved touchdowns. I think it's going to be 35-14. And there is a chance, guys, that, the way Shane Steichen has treated teams that can't keep up with the Colts, it could be worse. So what's your prediction and why?
I'm actually going to go 31-13. So it's a really similar final score prediction, which could definitely come back to bite us on Monday if we're not careful. So 31-13. I think this is just a game where you can imagine the Colts winning on all phases here. An offense that's struggling to really get the ball in the end zone. I'll give them 1 touchdown here and 3 field goals just because they're going to move the ball probably a little bit, probably because they're going to be airing it out if they're down in the second half. Maybe you'll see a little bit of what we saw in that Chargers game of maybe they're moving the ball a little bit easily in the middle of the field there at some points during the game. But the only reason I'm not predicting that offense to go out, because the offense is, they're averaging 34. If they're going up against a Titans defense that's really struggling, you would think that would be higher. But I think maybe just kind of what I said about Daniel Jones being the X factor here, play a careful game. If you get to, I'd be okay with 28. I don't think that the Titans are really going to put up that much on the scoreboard. So you don't have to run away with it too much. Just play a safe, careful game and come out with the W here out of Lucas Oil.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we even get into it, I don't even have to put up the comments. Hey, Dalton Brown's fanboy, I just want you to put something in the chat. Who's your team? I just want to hear who your team is and why you're so gung-ho to insult the Colts. Because if it's the Browns, I'm just going to get this out of the way. You just got rid of Joe Flacco and gave him to a divisional rival. So I hope it's not the Browns, but I do want you to put that team right there in the comments. I appreciate you yet again watching the show. Thank you so much. So potential trade deals. This doesn't have to be too detailed, but I will say that Indianapolis did make room in their salary cap after restructuring Kenny Moore's contract. If they make a deal, and Jordan Schultz, insider, did report that they are a team to watch for a defensive difference maker, I don't know, man. You got two areas that are pretty glaring. Defensive edge and cornerback.
Mhm.
I personally think they desperately need cornerback help. But what do you think? Like, is there a guy or a certain player or a certain team that you think the Colts might target? Because the Dolphins really stand out as one to me.
Yeah, specific players are always difficult to target because you never know who's willing to deal what the Colts think of some of these players. But yeah, if they're looking for a difference maker, your market's, I mean, it's not that big. The guys that'll be available in midseason trades that are going to be difference makers for your team. You do look at teams that are struggling, Dolphins. I mean, even the Titans, Jets, players that might be struggling. You just need a new home. I would disagree with you a little bit on corner. If you're going corner, yeah, desperately right now they need a corner. But I think if you're looking forward towards the end of the season, and you're sitting there with a group of Charvarius Ward, Kenny Moore, Jalen Jones, Mekhi Blackman as your corners 1 through 4, I feel confident that's enough to get you really deep into the playoffs and maybe even go a little further than that. That's a group that I would feel comfortable with. It's just that you don't have 3 out of those 4 guys right now. And you've rarely played any games this season where you do have all those guys. So, yeah, I think I'm just trying to make the trade for January and February and not make the trade for this upcoming stretch of the season. When I think about that, I think it is the pass rush that really needs the most help. We've seen that entire unit, that edge group, be completely healthy and still not really produce to the level that you're going to want to expect from your pass rush to make it easier on your defensive backs. You have 2 really weak areas right now in terms of your pass rush and your cornerback play. Only one of those can be weak, and I think the one that you can improve in the long run and improve for the later stretch of the season is pass rush. I feel like there's probably some more options available at pass rush on the trade market right now than there are at corner anyway. You're talking about the Dolphins, Jalen Phillips, Jets, Jermaine Johnson. The list isn't huge, but there are some names out there. You just kind of have to see what's available. Kingsley Enagbare from the Packers. I mean, it's hard to define really what would be a difference maker at this point, but I think really just getting a new body in that edge room to try to shake things up, even if they're not a guy who's going to go be a prime Bradley Chubb, for example, and go out there and get you a ton of production. Just get somebody else in the room that can come in on third downs. Doesn't need to learn the whole defense. Just pin his ears back and get to the quarterback on third down just to give the room a little bit extra juice is good.
Yeah. And so, because there is something I got to address, but we're gonna knock out these Thursday night football predictions. So, you got the Vikings, you got the Chargers, obviously. I know Kevin O'Connell is a hell of an offensive guy. But after what happened to the Chargers, I can see this being I can see the Chargers potentially trying to take everything out on the Vikings, but the Vikings do get Aaron Jones back, I believe. I think this one's going to be a tight battle, but I'm going to go ahead and go Chargers 28, Vikings 24. The Chargers are a good football team coached by a hell of a coach who's seen nothing but success in this league. And I do think Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback. He's got offensive weapons galore. I think that this defense is capable. What are your thoughts on this one? Because it's kind of an interesting one. You got a cross-conference matchup with 2 teams that I can't even remember the last time the Chargers and the Vikings played each other.
Yeah, and I think that your prediction's pretty spot on. I think that's what most people would think. I think that's probably what will happen. I do want to make the opposite prediction here to make things a little bit more fun on Thursday Night Football. So if you're taking the Chargers, I'll take the Vikings. Chargers just kind of have a tendency to find out ways to beat themselves. And Carson Wentz is obviously another guy on the Vikings that does find ways to beat himself also. But I'll go with the Vikings win here. An upset on Thursday Night Football. I think the scoreline is probably going to look pretty similar regardless of who comes out on top, probably around 28-24. So I'll just copy your exact score. I'll just flip the result here to the Vikings.
I like it. Well, before we go here, we got to address a very colorful gentleman in the chat here. And Dalton, I figured you were a Browns fan, so instead of absolutely going in on your franchise for some absolutely baffling decisions, instead I'm going to take the high road and I'm going to say guys like Quinshon Judkins, guys like Carson Schlesinger, Harold Fannin. I do think Dylan Gabriel has some potential. Kevin Stefanski is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. All right, that is a franchise that has just not been able to find their footing. Okay, but they have got pieces in place to do something special. It's just, I don't know if it's the ownership or the front office or whatever, but that is a team that just, you talk about the Colts choke. That's a team that doesn't even get an opportunity to choke because they don't do anything. So I don't know what brought you here. Maybe you wanted to hear a podcast about a team that wins because yours isn't, but we will really look forward to seeing you on Monday, man. So keep on tuning in. Maybe we'll talk about the Browns potentially winning a game. Hey, you know what? You got that win over the Dolphins that are falling apart. We just appreciate you, man. But hey, guys, that is our show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I mean, we have super chats we got to get to. Andrew Harmon, Tracy Johnson, and Andrew Harmon again, Tracy Johnson again, Matthew Sundberg. You guys are absolute legends. But don't forget to like the Horseshoe Huddle on Facebook. Follow Indianapolis Colts on SI. As always, on X, we are at Colts_SI. Subscribe to Horseshoe Huddle on YouTube and click the bell to turn on all the notifications. If you want to listen to us, no problem. Noah's got us hooked up on Apple, on Spotify, on Google Play. Wherever the hell you listen to podcasts, we are absolutely going to be there. Everyone, enjoy your Thursday. Go enjoy some Thursday night football. There's nothing better than evening football. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you right back here on Monday, and hopefully we're talking about a dominant Colts win against the Titans. But until then, please enjoy yourselves, and we'll be talking to you again soon.